Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
Alyeska Pipeline Service Company, sustaining Alaska's pipeline and its operations today and into the future.
Find a living in fisheries. The UAS Fisheries Technology Program offers online study from anywhere in Alaska, plus labs and workshops in many Alaska towns.
Is most likely a chum.
Find your living without leaving where you are. Fisheries Technology from UAS.
The National Weather Service.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Sunday's show. The breakup chart, a lot like yesterday here with all the southern central rivers, Yukon and Tanana, of course, open, and watching the Porcupine here slowly dissolve, and also the rivers here in the northwest. Temperatures rising above 37, or actually up into the upper 30s over areas of the North Slope today, so be watching for those rivers to start breaking up. And looking at yesterday's satellite imagery, had a cold upper low here moving across the Panhandle with some clouds in over the southeast interior. Areas of sun as well as some clouds here through the interior areas with showers developing right through here, and a band of moisture there coming across the southwest Bristol Bay and Kodiak Island, and some more stuff back down here to the southwest, all shifting up to the northeast. We'll see today that moisture continuing to flow northeastward now with rain from Kodiak Island coming up into Cook Inlet this afternoon. One impulse earlier today moving on up into the Susitna Valley. Band of clouds here through Fairbanks. Actually some showers developing as well along a trough there from Eagle on back to the west, but better conditions and drier up to the north with the North Slope and Arctic coast looking pretty good with light winds. Fairer conditions, a dry day for the most part here over the Panhandle, and still a lot of clouds down there, lower type clouds that really don't show up on this imagery. Then we have the next front driving eastward there out over the Aleutians, pushing some rain and a little bit of wind in toward the central Aleutians there around Adak. And on the chart today, here's this front line roughly right in this position here. Moisture flowing south to north here, high pressure off to the southeast, so that keeping things from continuing to push that moisture northward. And this will be sliding on in currently actually into northern Cook Inlet, otherwise scattered isolated showers to the north. A little more numerous there along that trough axis, but Eagle again on back over toward the Kobuk Valley, picking up some shower activity in areas with mostly cloudy skies. Actually, it was mostly cloudy here across the Panhandle. Some areas did see some sunshine this afternoon, and then areas of fog around Barrow and the western Arctic coast. Otherwise, not too bad up in that area with a little bit of sunshine. Another trough with some isolated showers coming across the eastern Bering Sea. And then the next system out here to the west, we'll see tonight, pushes eastward and got rain and some gusty winds pushing into the central Aleutian areas. Otherwise, scattered showers here over the eastern Bering Sea behind this trough, which slips on northward tonight. Higher pressure developing and building northward a little bit there, but still keeping the clouds in over the Panhandle, and periods of rain all across south central Alaska, Cook Inlet, sliding up into the Susitna Valley, and that eventually working into Prince William Sound and extending back to the northwest to the Seward Peninsula, St. Lawrence Island areas, possibly some mixed precipitation along and south of the western Alaska Range there. Otherwise, possible fog and flurries along the Arctic coast. And then for tomorrow, we'll see this system eventually pushes eastward, coming over the top of the high down here. So precipitation will be ending from west-southwest to east-northeast. And by tomorrow afternoon, it should mostly be here over the Copper River Basin, and that beginning to encroach on the northern panhandle. Showers of that low up there over the upper Yukon Valley, and variable clouds, scattered showers here over much of the remainder of interior Alaska. Looks like gale force winds showing up for the eastern Aleutians tomorrow, with pretty windy conditions extending northward across Nunivak Island and the Yukon Delta coastline to St. Lawrence Island, with periods of rain all along that front, breaking out to showers back to the west with a low center over the western Bering Sea area. But pretty good here, Kodiak Island, mostly cloudy, maybe a few breaks, but should be a dry day tomorrow afternoon. And again, conditions improving here across Cook Inlet and the Susitna Valley, as well as the Kenai Peninsula in the afternoon after a more wetter morning. And then for Tuesday, that system drops down right across the southeast coast tomorrow night for rain and showers. And then by Tuesday afternoon should be mostly off into Canada with a mostly cloudy skies left behind. A day Tuesday, probably much like you saw today in that area. Northwest winds 10 to 20 and pretty fair here from the North Gulf Coast with light wind conditions. This high pressure area now building northward, especially aloft. And looks like much of the eastern and even the central interior will be warmer and drier with more sunshine, and with that offshore flow downsloping out of the Brooks Range, should be a good VFR day with mild conditions there from the North Slope and Arctic coast areas, especially from about Wainwright eastward. Back to the west, though, increasing winds, clouds, and precipitation with periods of rain here from the Seward Peninsula right on down across the southwest interior areas, Bristol Bay to the Alaska Peninsula, and then another surge of moisture sliding northward here due to the high pressure area building off to the southeast. So that's going to bring more rain, Kodiak Island on up into Cook Inlet, southern Kenai Peninsula areas, and more extensive back toward the Alaska Range and of course near the front itself. But this will try to slide northward Tuesday night, but the entire pattern is going to be tending to pull back to the west a little bit, so I wouldn't look for much more of an eastward progression of this moisture as it pulls northward. Back out to the west, just that huge low out here with a lot of showers and clouds and breezy conditions, but everything under gale force. And for the temperatures today, across the southeast coast, 50s, mostly over the entire area there, 57 at Port Alexander. Kawak had 52, 55 in Juneau, 48 Yakutat, 50 degrees in Cordova. Valdez, 46, cloudy skies, 57 up there at Gulkana. Northway at 59, even warmer at Tok. Mid to upper 50s here throughout the Tanana Valley. Same thing for the Koyukuk and upper Yukon as well. And we'll see for the Brooks Range, mid 40s, Umiat Airfield up to 37. And then 20s for the Arctic coast. And mostly in the 30s here on the plus side of freezing over the northwest, 44 at Nome, 34 at Savunga, and 40s here, Kuskokwim Valley out to the deltas with Kipnuk up to 47. Otherwise, Makoriak 39, 40s for the Pribilos, 40s for the Alaska Peninsula, and that's Pilot Point with 50 to above, 47 at Kodiak, mid 40s here for the eastern Aleutians, and cooling off to about 39 with some pretty good fog out towards Shimia. And looking at the lows for tonight out there, upper 30s to near 40 for the western areas. Otherwise, mostly in the 40s here across much of the southwest interior. Some areas dropping into the upper 30s there. And then 30s also up there over the northwest. Teens and 20s for the north slope and the Arctic coast. And looking ahead to tomorrow for the highs, 50s to lower 60s, southwest interior, up into the Tanana Valley, Fort Yukon, maybe pushing up to 61 tomorrow afternoon. And the Arctic coast, many areas forecasting highs into the lower or even mid 30s up in that area. Lower 50s showing up over the inland areas of the northwest, and 50s for the Panhandle. Flying weather tomorrow morning, we've got some IFR here on the east side of the Kenai Peninsula, western Prince William Sound back to the west there. Marginal VFR along and off the coast, so starting out VFR for much of the Panhandle, VFR here over the eastern and central interior. Lots of IFR possible again, the Arctic coast, locally in the North Slope, northern Bering Sea area, down to Nunivak Island. And then for the afternoon, we'll see things begin to increase and push eastward there, especially over the northern southeast coast as that area of rain pushes on in, but staying pretty good down to the south. Conditions improving again over south central Alaska up to the Alaska Range, VFR over the interior. IFR now restricted to the eastern Arctic coast, but hanging in over the Chukchi Sea southward to St. Lawrence Island and also near the eastern Aleutians. Passes Anaktuvuk, marginal VFR at times tomorrow, same forecast for Adigan. Lake Clark and Merrill, conditions improving throughout the day. We'll call it going IFR to VFR. Same forecast for Rainy. Windy, occasionally marginal. Mentasta, occasionally marginal. And Isabel, occasionally marginal. Tanita also, look for some marginal VFR, especially in the morning. And for Portage, IFR becoming marginal in the afternoon. Probably have to wait till tomorrow night to become VFR. For Chilkoot and White, starting out VFR, becoming marginal. For the freezing levels, about 4,000 feet here over the southern part of the state and a little above 4,000 feet, call it 4,000 to 5,000 feet over the northern half, with about 6,000 plus for the southeast coast and some 8,000 foot levels there coming in toward the eastern Aleutians ahead of that next front on the southerly winds. Icing tomorrow, kind of a stretch here from the eastern Aleutians right up the southwest coast to the Bering Strait, mostly above 7,000 feet. And then with that upper disturbance pulling eastward, again, that'll mostly be off over the southeast interior tomorrow afternoon, and again, starting to slip on in toward the northern Panhandle, and then some more out over the western Aleutians. Winds aloft showing trough will bring the rain in tonight, and then that'll begin coming over the top of this ridge here, moving into the Copper River Basin, which then will take a turn to the southeast and drop across the Panhandle tomorrow night for more rain there, and then pull off as this area high pressure behind it shifts eastward and builds pretty good right up the eastern interior areas. That southerly jet will also progress eastward and again bring some more rain up into the western interior. 9,000 foot winds northwest, 10 to 15s, that's about it for the North Gulf Coast as well as the Panhandle. Pretty light winds generally from south to north or south-southwest, just 5 to 15 knots, but increasing markedly here. Bristol Bay, the Alaska Peninsula, out over the southwest interior, back up toward the Bering Strait with 40-knot winds. They're blowing right across the Pribilofs. 3,000 foot winds, about the same, 30 to 40-knot winds here. Eastern Aleutians, the peninsula, diminishing as you head north there to about 20 to 25, and then much lighter over the eastern interior. High pressure down through this area, giving a northwest breeze there across the southeast coast. And as far as turbulence for tomorrow, pretty smooth over much of mainland Alaska, the North Gulf Coast, Panhandle, but mechanical turbulence with those winds, occasional moderate chop for the Alaska Peninsula, eastern Aleutians, and here mostly along the Yukon Delta coast, which includes Nunivak Island, to possibly over towards Savunga. Otherwise lighter turbulence through the Bering Strait to Point Hope and back to the west there over the central Aleutians. And after the break, I'll be back with a look at the marine forecasts.
Mike Nolan, AKwx Fire Chief. I'm here to talk to you today about defensible space and wildland fires. The fire truck in the background is your last line of defense against wildfire. You are the first line of defense. The following video will show you how to prepare and protect your home so that if you call us, we can save it. Thank you.
This program deals with maintaining landscaped properties in fire-prone areas known as the wildland-urban interface. What were once wildland forests, fields, and pastures are now businesses, highways, and homes. Whether simple cabins, mobile homes, or large, expensive developments, many are constructed in the wakes of past fires and in the path of future fires. In areas where wildfires have occurred naturally for centuries, homes and gardens now add fuels that can accelerate the spread of fire. Landscaping can help protect property and lives from wildfire. Because the landscape is constantly changing, proper maintenance is the key to keeping landscaping fire-wise. Landscapes that are easy to maintain are more desirable than highly complex arrangements that may be neglected. Over time, plants grow and spread. Mulches dry out. Leaves and pine needles accumulate. All contribute to the fuels which can accelerate a wildfire. Proper maintenance improves the appearance of plants and helps protect the structure from wildfire. Fire needs fuel, something to burn, like grass, trees, or the homes nestled among them. To an interface fire, homes and other structures become merely fuel. Fires start easily and burn rapidly in light fuels like dry grasses. These in turn provide a path to larger fuels like trees. Once at the base of a tree, fire can move into low branches and climb to the top or crown. This arrangement, known as ladder fuels, provides wildfire a path along which to grow and spread. Interrupting a potential fire's path is a primary concern in maintaining the property and the landscape. A fire-wise landscape is a healthy landscape, one whose plants are durable, fire-resistant, compatible with the terrain and climate, and well-maintained. When plants dry out, they become more flammable. Proper watering is therefore essential. The results of overwatering and underwatering can be the same: damaged plants and increased flammable litter. Irrigation systems, whether drip or spray, play an important role in maintaining the health of plants, shrubs, and trees. If an irrigation system is not working effectively, vegetation may become stressed and dry, providing wildfire a way to spread to other vegetation. Familiarity with the system, along with routine inspection and maintenance, is necessary to keep the landscape in top condition. As trees grow, careful pruning preserves their appearance, structural integrity, and functional values. But pruning also maintains its ability to resist fire. Pruning tree branches at least 6 to 10 feet from the ground helps interrupt the fire's path. Pruning cuts should be clean and smooth, avoiding flush cuts and stubs. A well-pruned tree heals quickly, while poor pruning results in scarring and possible disease. No more than 1/3 of a tree's live foliage should be removed at one time to avoid stress. Young, vigorous trees can withstand more severe pruning than older, weaker trees. Remove dead and diseased branches from trees. This reduces the potential for fire spreading into the crown. Shrubs should be well spaced to break up the fire ladder and keep the vegetation density low. Except for formal clipped or sheared shrubs, shrubs should be maintained by thinning, maintaining size, and removing excess leaf litter. Vines and ground covers can build up a heavy underbrush of dead leaves and branches, which should be removed to lessen fuel for fire. Remove or mow dry grasses, weeds, and underbrush. A mulch over bare soil can provide many benefits while adding little fire risk. Even in healthy landscapes, the buildup of leaf litter and other debris can give fires a chance to start under porches and decks, and on roofs. Brush and cuttings from landscape maintenance create another fire hazard. This debris should be promptly and legally disposed of, leaving a clean, neat landscape. Sometimes fuels for wildfires can be found under decks and porches. Store firewood well away from other combustible materials. Fertilizing and pest control is also important for maintaining healthy and therefore fire-wise landscapes. The safe fueling and regular maintenance of garden equipment, careful disposal of smoking materials, and the proper storage and use of flammable liquids and combustible materials are important to maintaining the fire-wise landscape design. Regular maintenance of equipment has the dividend of continued use for many years, but there is also a fire-wise benefit. Besides properly using and refueling lawn and garden equipment, each piece should be properly maintained according to the manufacturer's instructions. Without proper maintenance, an engine can overheat. A heated engine can start a fire. Remove dry grass and leaves from around the engine. Before refueling, allow the engine to cool, even if for only a few minutes. Refuel in an area away from vegetation. Refueling on level ground will help avoid spills. Gasoline fumes can travel several feet, even from a small spill. If the fumes reach a nearby source of ignition, a fire can flash over the surface and back to the spill instantly. In addition, any gasoline or oil-soaked rags should be stored in a closed, airtight container, be cleaned and dried, or be properly disposed. Fire officials recommend that an approved fire extinguisher be available at all times, and that everyone knows how to safely use it. One of the most readily available sources of ignition for fire is as close as the flick of a wrist. If smoking is allowed on the site, make sure that precautions are taken to properly handle this common source of ignition. Store oils, gasoline, and other flammables in safe containers, kept in well-ventilated areas. Treat these as carefully as you would fire itself. In case of fire, notify the local fire department immediately. Any delay can result in tragedy. Your state or local authorities may have specific requirements for one or more of the following: clearance distances for brush and other flammable vegetation, disposal of debris, and fire safety requirements for equipment. Check with local authorities on these and related issues. Even though they may be designed and installed according to sound principles, landscapes change continuously. Your careful maintenance will ensure the landscape's beauty, enhance the environment, and maintain its value as an investment in a fire-wise future.
Welcome back. Well, northwest winds, 20 knots here for the south coast as well as Clarence Strait, with lighter westerlies up here to the north and variable 10 to 15 here over the northern and central inside waters. Those southerlies at 15 turn northerly for Northern Lynn Canal on Tuesday, up to about 20 knots with 4-foot seas, northwest 20 on to the south. No change here for the south coast, and really not much change up to the north either with lighter west-northwesterlies. For Cook Inlet, south 15 tomorrow, 20-knot winds, Kamishak Bay through Shelikof Strait, as well as Kodiak Island and the Barrens, southwest 15 for the North Gulf Coast, and variable to southwest, pretty light with slight seas for Prince William Sound. That holds into Tuesday as well, variable at 10, high pressure building right over the North Gulf Coast there, but to the west of the ridge, winds southeast and increase. Small craft advisories here for the Barren Islands. Otherwise, 20 knots for Kodiak Island, Kamishak Bay. Southeast 15 for southern Cook Inlet. Light variable to southerlies at about 10 knots for northern Cook Inlet. For Prince William Sound, south 20, but small craft advisories in store for the Alaska Peninsula tomorrow from the south with 9-foot seas, and south 20 over toward Sitkinak. Then for Tuesday, no change here for the peninsula. Small craft advisories continue, but now we've got southeast 25 to 30 knot winds there from Bristol Bay on to southwest of Kodiak. And tomorrow for the Fox Islands, gale force southerlies tomorrow there, but small craft advisories as the winds turn southwest here out toward Adak and Atka. Next ends all the way out to Shemya. Then for Tuesday, northwest 25 knots for the western Aleutians, turning west and west-southwest 20 to 25 knots. And then things become more southerly here over toward the eastern Aleutians with those speeds at roughly 20 to 25 knots with 8 to 11-foot seas. And for the southwest coast, south to southeast, 30 knots, so definitely small craft advisories there, as well as St. Lawrence Island, the northern Bering Sea, and the Pribilof Islands, 30 knots with 11-foot seas. For Tuesday, we've got south 20, so lighter there for the Pribilofs, as well as the areas around St. Matthew Island, especially to the west. But small craft advisories here all along the southwest coast from St. Lawrence Island, southeast at 30. For the Arctic coast, easterly winds tomorrow, 10 to 15 on the east side and up to 20 knots on the west side. Small craft advisories here or brisk wind advisories from Wales to Cape Thompson. And then on Tuesday, southeast winds, Cape Beaufort down to Wales there, and 20 knots for the western Arctic coast. Southeast winds, offshore flow, or at least a component of, and at about 15 knots for the remainder of the coastline. And for tonight, again, rain, south central Alaska, Kenai Peninsula, also for probably the North Gulf Coast, eventually getting to Prince William Sound. Kind of wet conditions back to the Seward Peninsula with showers following in behind. And mostly cloudy for the Panhandle with light winds, mostly cloudy for the interior with light winds as well. A little bit of moisture here, southern slopes of the western Brooks Range. Otherwise, the next front out west for the central Aleutians pushes eastward tomorrow with rain pushing over to False Pass and Cold Bay. Pretty good south winds there ahead of that front. This moisture slips on eastward and then eventually tracks right down across the Panhandle tomorrow night and early on Tuesday. Then by Tuesday afternoon, that pulls off to the east. High pressure building in strongly over the eastern interior down into the Gulf of Alaska. That's going to direct most of this stuff from south to north. So wet and cloudier in the west, drier and sunnier in the east. But this low out here over the Bering Sea keeps it pretty breezy with scattered to numerous showers with those troughs rotating around the center there. And again,
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.